Hello. So I wanted to make a short commentary about the Silken Court kill that we did earlier this month. There are only two things that you need to pay attention to as a tank in this fight. The first one is positioning, and this goes for everybody, not only tanks. Damage is not an issue in this fight. The bosses have been heavily nerfed, and everybody has a damage buff for this raid. So your top one priority should be positioning at all points. The other thing is the piercing strike. This ability that I'm tanking right now, it's the only thing that can kill you. You will also be taking bolts from Takash, but this is not something to worry about because the healers will be dispelling that periodically, and if the stacks get too high, you can just pop a cooldown. Make sure to track both your debuff and your co-tank's debuff to know exactly which one of you should be taking the next one. Look at the bars to see when the next one is coming, because in the middle of the fight there is a lot of things going on and it's easy to miss. Alright, another thing to mention is that for some reason I found that Takashi's hitbox is shorter than she is. So I found useful to use a targeting macro. In raiding you don't really need that many keybinds, so you should have space for this. And it will also give you a quick visual of Takashi's circle, which is something that you never want to step in because of the dispells later. Alright, so after the first charge, Takashi is going to reposition herself whether left or right in the arena, and you will have to reposition the whole raid around her. In this case, she moved to the left side, so after the burn phase from a nerub-ar, we rotate. And ideally you have two clear lanes. Blue team goes on the inner lane, red team goes on the outer lane along the wall. And once both teams have moved, you do another set of mechanics before the next charge. And after this charge, it's intermission. Slowly move the boss to the center, wait for Takash to teleport. Both teams are positioned. And after the first set of frontal goes off, we can start moving. It's a very slow movement. You just need to rotate slowly and pick up orbs. If you look at these swords, the damage from the orbs doesn't go off until these little swords reach the orbs. So you have plenty of time, you don't need to fret. After intermission, you want to make sure to always position the raid around Takash. We did agree on which one of us was going to take the first piercing strike after intermission, because right now neither of us has the debuff, so it doesn't really matter which tank takes the first one. But we decided it was going to be the Death Knight, just for consistency. In this phase, you also don't need to be too worried about the bolts. The healers will be paying attention to this, they will be dispelling you periodically. But even if you get to 8-9 stacks, it's not a problem. You have plenty of cooldowns, and you don't even need a cooldown for the piercing strike. So if for whatever reason you see yourself at 8+ bolt stacks, just pop something and you'll survive. A good rule of thumb from phase 2 onwards is to always rotate to the right to dodge the frontals. If both groups do this at the same time, it will be easier for positioning. So in here I'm being very conservative with positioning. I am supposed to take this piercing strike. I could have moved the boss a little bit farther in so that they are both stacked, but I really don't want to get into Takashi's circle because I do not want to risk one of the dispels going on me. I also don't want to kill anyone on the red team, so I just stay here. It's not a problem. Once I get the piercing strike, the other tank will taunt the boss and they will naturally stack together. So after this first set of dispels, we bloodlust, And right after Bloodlust is over, we get a double frontal and the first teleport. So here's where Takashi's teleports, and you need to make sure that the entire raid moves right. That's the red team moving right, this is us moving right. And now she teleported to this side. She could have teleported to this one. She went this way. So we know that the red team has this lane to move around Takashi, and blue team has this lane. And that's what we do immediately after. And rinse and repeat. When you go through boss, there is a bunch of orbs left by the other team, so you need to make sure you're not going on a perfectly straight line, because you might soak too many and die because of it. You're gonna want to go at an angle. In this case, I am paired with a warrior, so I'm just letting him break the web. I am currently tanking a nerub-ar, so I do not want to leap away too far, because I don't want to separate the bosses too much. And now is the second set of dispells. We will do the first two here, and after the first two, Takashi teleports to the center, and the whole raid has to move. The movement is again in lanes. So she teleports to the center, red team is here, they have a lane to move on this side of the boss. Blue team is here, we have this lane to move to this side of the boss. There is a kind of an awkward frontal from a nerub-ar at this point, which is fine. You can take it easy, you don't need to move immediately. Again, you don't need a lot of damage to kill this boss, you just need to survive. So don't risk it, don't die from that frontal, just wait a couple of seconds, it's fine. Shortly after this, Takashi is leaving, but this time we don't follow because second intermission is about to start. In this intermission, a nerub-ar goes to the center and the entire raid rotates around the boss, pretty much like the first intermission, but this time is even slower because the spikes take a very long time to do the damage. So don't panic, just register where they are showing up. Move slowly. At some point I think I start casting Feldev. Yeah. This circle just showed up and I started casting like 2 seconds, fraction of a second before, and I still have time to cast the entire Feldevastation, move out, and I don't get spiked. So there is more time that there's always more time than you think. You do this a couple of times, and as the intermission ends, you can already see, if you look at this part of the screen, you can see where Takashi is going to show up. So you know where the raid has to be positioned after. You need to make sure that everybody rotates one last time to soak these last orbs. And after that movement, reposition around Takashi again. Takashi's here, so the lanes are clear. The red team takes this lane, and blue team takes this lane. Slowly, there is no hurry. And rinse and repeat. At this point, a nerub-ar will cast Swarm a number of times. So the other tank is taking the first piercing strike after intermission. A nerub-ar's movement is a little bit awkward in this phase because he will cast Swarm several times, and when he does this he just doesn't move. Right now they are not perfectly stacked, but that is not a problem. I'm taunting the boss because I know I have to take the next piercing strike. He will move when he moves. The red team will be dealing with webs in this phase. There is a bit of an awkward frontal here from Takashi. Some of us dodge this way, which places us a little bit close to the red team, but it's fine, none of us dies. So we go back to our place and we take our lanes. red team goes along the wall, blue team goes on the inner lane. And rinse and repeat. After this, there will be a last set of debuffs, and if you do this set of debuffs correctly, then you win. At this point, I could probably have brought a nerub-ar closer again, but there's no need. There's no need. We are not worried about damage, we're worried about survival. Dispells are happening, so I would rather play conservative. And that's it. There is a couple more mechanics after this, but it's pretty much rinse and repeat. So if you did these last movements, boss should be dead. If this video was useful for you, make sure to let me know in the comments, and I will make another one for Queen Ansurek. Good luck!